Hey everybody, my name is Erica and today I'm going to be telling you what I've been reading recently. So it's been a long time since I've done a wrap-up video and I do apologize. I feel like I have not been reading as much lately, but I have been reading like a lot that's been on my TBR for a few years. So I'm just going to be kind of talking about what I've been reading, some of my thoughts and feels on these books, and yeah, that's about it for this video. So let's just get right into it. I set my Goodreads challenge this year to 60 books and I just recently moved it down to 50 books because I'm reading so slowly, like at least a book a week, if that. Like I'm only on book number 8 and last year at this time I was on book like 13 or 14. So it's definitely been taking me a lot longer, but I have been reading a lot longer books compared to last year. So yeah, I finished the Poppy War Trilogy by R.F. Kuang and I have so many thoughts about this trilogy and okay, first let's talk about it. Okay, the trilogy is based off of Chinese history, but it takes place revolving around ancient China, and it's a more like fantasy approach to it. But a lot of the characters and events are based off of true people that have been in Chinese history and have molded their past and things like that. We're following this character named Rin, whose goal is to get into this elite military academy called Sign Guard. I believe that's what it's called, Sign Guard. I said Sign Guard. And so she will do whatever it takes to get in there. She has been studying really hard. She really wants to get out of her village because she's about to be like arranged into a marriage and she does not want that for herself. She's so desperately wanting to get out of this tiny little village. Her family does not really appreciate her. She was adopted and the only one who really cares about her is her little brother, and she just doesn't feel like she belongs. So this is her goal, is to get out of there and to make it into this military academy. And so finally the test day comes and she passes with one of the highest scores and she gets into this academy. Everyone's so surprised because she's just from this tiny little village and hardly anyone from that village has ever made it out. When she gets to Sign Guard, she realizes that she has a lot to learn and there are so many people out to get her. She's constantly being bullied, not just by the other students, but also by some of the teachers. They just don't really have like faith in her. They just don't think she can do it. She's very hard on herself and she feels really sad that she's not doing as well as she was hoping, and she kind of feels like she wasn't meant to be there. But finally there is one teacher who kind of takes her under his wing, and that is while she's studying lore. And so lore is like this mythical, like historical kind of like focus on her studies, and she realizes that that is what she wants to kind of make her own. Her view of the world and what she's really believed really starts to change after she starts studying lore, and she realizes that there is this power inside of her from the Phoenix. So she starts to learn how to control like magic, like fire magic, and soon as like school goes on, she starts feeling more confident in what she's doing. But then soon the war finds them, and basically that is where the rest of the trilogy takes off, is during this war. She doesn't even really get to finish school. Her and her peers are thrown into battle and they kind of have to really like take what they've learned and immediately apply it to the real life. It gets very dark. This trilogy is very brutal, and because it does follow real events that have happened in Chinese history, I definitely will warn you that there are a lot of trigger warnings for sexual assault, rape. Once the war finds them, it just really takes off in a very dark path. I did finish all 3 books, but I feel like I may not have enjoyed them as much as I was anticipating. I have read like so many positive reviews and I had very high expectations going into this series. And while a lot of those things were met, I really loved the writing. The writing is what kept me deeply immersed. I feel like I could visualize everything so clearly. I never had a hard time seeing what was happening, where they were, because sometimes there are some books that I get some things kind of go like over my head, like in the world building aspect. Like I feel like sometimes I can't picture things because it's like so either not described well enough or like too described, like I don't know. But this one, the writing was absolutely beautiful. Like I just constantly, like I just felt like I could never put it down. I was not a big fan of, there is drug use in this, and I knew that because like where the history goes and like what it's based from and everything. But for me personally, I have a hard time reading about like addiction and drug use. So I did have a very difficult time with that aspect of the series, as well as of course how brutal it was, and the death and destruction, the abuse that happened in this. It was very hard to read, but I know that it's based on true events, so it's very deeply personal and it means a lot to the people. And I went in knowing that there was going to be violence, but I don't think I really had prepared myself for everything that was going to be described. So I had a difficult time with this series. I wasn't really a fan of any of the characters, Rin is very morally gray, and I really enjoyed that at first, but I realized kind of in like the second, honestly within all 3 books, that I just did not want her to win. There are so many moments that I'm like rooting for her, like the good things, but I don't know, I just kind of really started to hold a grudge against her, and I just felt like I was not supporting her, and that is a hard thing for me as someone who's very like driven by characters in stories. That is very hard when I can't really support the main character. I just really wanted her to lose, and the ending, I was honestly surprised but also not surprised, and as soon as I finished it, I was so excited to be done because I just did not want to pick up another book like that. So I don't know, I think I gave a majority of them like 3 to 4 out of 5 stars. So it's a good series, of course, so well written. I can see why everyone really loves it. I just don't think it was for me, and I'm happy I read it finally because it's been on my TBR for forever. But again, it was a lot. Alright, another series that I finished while also reading the Poppy War was the Red Rising Trilogy by Pierce Brown. Okay, so with the Red Rising Trilogy, of course, that one was also very, I feel like, overhyped. I mean, I don't know, like I've heard amazing things about it. It's been on my TBR forever, like literally forever. And I was so excited to dive into it, and I was kind of let down, and I feel so bad about saying that because I was so excited to read this. So in the Red Rising Trilogy, we're following this character named Darrow, who was raised in the underground of Mars. So his, like, people, they are constantly, like, drilling and digging for resources that will allow future generations to colonize Mars. Then, when his wife sacrifices herself for the good of the Reds, which is what Darrow's people are, they are called the Reds, Darrow learns that his entire life is basically a lie. Pretty much what happens is that Io, his wife, ends up like singing, and singing is like super like illegal. Like she's singing a specific song that like they're not supposed to sing. So she ended up getting killed, and so Darrow ends up trying to like kill himself. But then I don't know if that's well, obviously not because he's in the book. But so then like he wakes up and he gets put into this, like, he has to become a gold, and the golds are the ones running the society, like running Mars, because they've already been colonizing it. Like Mars has been colonized for years, and all the Reds had no idea because they were constantly living underground, being told that they couldn't go above because, you know, they couldn't breathe or anything up there, and that there was nothing up there for them. But really, they are mining and digging for these resources just to make the golds like more powerful. And so there is like this classes system where it's like all based on colors. Like there's like a whole thing like greens, blues, but golds are the highest. Darrow becomes a part of this group called like the Sons of Ares, and their goal is to kind of take down the golds and to like open up society for everybody. Kind of. I am not explaining it that well. But Darrow ends up getting like carved and turned into a gold. So they completely change like his face, his look, everything about him, his brain basically. They make him so that he is believed to be a gold. And so the reason they're doing this is that so he can enter this like academy sort of thing and train with the other golds so that he has like a closer way to get to the top. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. Anyway, so he becomes a gold, the highest class, gets him into that academy, and despite befriending these golds, Darrow remains determined to take them all down. He wants to live out Io's dream no matter how brutal and how crazy things become. He wants to live out her dream and get to the top. So basically, during this, we kind of have this moment where it's like this Hunger Games moment, because while they're at this academy, they all have to kind of fend for themselves. They start to form like their own groups, and they have to like kill each other. It is brutal. I was not expecting this story to be like this, and while I loved the writing, I felt like, I don't know, everything was very clever. I kind of liked the different concepts, like the language that was used between the different classes and kind of things like that. But I, again, was not really rooting for Darrow. I mean, I was, but I wasn't, because some of his choices were just so extreme, and it was also just very dark. I took a break from the Poppy War to read this, thinking that somehow a sci-fi book would be a little calmer, but it was not. I was just reading so much war, so much death. It was very dark, and I just don't think I was expecting that. So I finished all 3 books though, and overall The second one was probably my favorite. I feel like there were times though that I had no idea what was happening and like what the goal was and like where the plot was going, which was also very infuriating, especially because like after the first book, I don't know, I just feel like it moves so quickly and it moves in such a strange direction that I was not really like, I just feel like everything happened so fast in the beginning and I don't even get to know some of the main characters. And then I don't even really start to like any of the characters. It was kind of a lot, and I am happy I finally picked up this series. There is like another trilogy or like another series that comes off of this, but I don't think I'm going to be reading those for a while, if at all. But anyway, I did enjoy it for the most part, but I don't know, I'm terrible explaining this right now, but I wish I'd had that experience that so many other readers did with this series, because I've seen such raving reviews. And like, I was really hoping I'd have that experience with it, but unfortunately I did not. So a lot of these books were like 3 stars for me. But I did really like this character named Mustang. She was probably my favorite part about the whole series, and I just never wanted her not to be there. And so she was my favorite. I didn't really like Darrow very much, or almost like, so most of the side characters I feel like were better than the main characters. Okay, moving on. I feel like I'm just rambling, but that's just what this video is because I feel like I haven't talked about books in forever. Okay, so the next book I have is, I finally picked up Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. Is that what it is? Yeah. Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. And I have thoughts. Okay, so this is her like adult series, and Crescent City, I literally have been following Sarah J. Maas's Pinterest page for this since the beginning, like since she first made it and she first started like talking about this. I like knew, I was so excited, but I kind of went through a SJM slump and I have not been wanting to pick up her books. And after reading it, I kind of remembered why. And I feel really bad. I have very mixed opinions. So in this book, House of Earth and Blood, we're following Bryce Quinlan, who is just a simple party girl. She's half human, half fae. She's always kind of had a hard time with her father and just getting along with her parents in general. Like, her and her mom are cool, but like, you know. And so in a world of fae, being half human is kind of seen as not good because the humans and the fae are always kind of like at war with each other. There's like a lot of imbalance with them and there's just not really good history. So it's definitely a challenge, but Bryce kind of likes to put that to the side. She doesn't really seem to like let it bother her. She seems to have a great, perfect life with her roommate Danica, and she is constantly having meaningless sex, doing drugs, partying whenever she wants, and it just seems like she has no consequences. Until one night she goes out and all of her friends, including her best friend Danica, are brutally murdered, like ripped apart, horribly murdered. So 2 years pass for Bryce and she's just constantly sad and she's just not really living anymore. Until one day she gets put onto this case with Hunt Athalar, who is like an angel, fae kind of guy. He's like an angel, whatever. And so she gets put on this case because there are more murders happening and they realize that Bryce could be an asset because she might know things about Danica's past that will help them find the murderer. And Bryce is all about it because she obviously wants to avenge her friend. So she gets teamed up with the Shadow of Death, like I said, Hunt Athalar, and he is wickedly handsome and deadly, completely off limits, you know. My hair is a mess. With this case, Bryce must dig deeper into Danica's past and she realizes she didn't really know Danica like she thought she did. On like kind of like a side thing going on in this, we have like the war brewing between like the fae and the humans, and there's this thing called the horn that is missing and people are out to get it because it can like open doors to like different worlds, I guess, like demons and things. So somebody's out to find that, and the two things like the horn and Danica's murder kind of start to intertwine, and it just reveals a lot about Bryce and her friends and all of that. That is a terrible explanation, but we're going for it. So I could honestly ramble a lot about this book, about how much I don't want to waste all my time talking about House of Earth and Blood because there's a lot I could say. But let's just say, when I first started this book, I was like actually pretty enthralled with it. I really liked the world, like I really liked Crescent City, and I just kind of thought it was cool having the like urban fantasy vibes. Like they have like technology and everything, but it's also like fantasy. And it didn't bother me. Like, I know it kind of bothered some people. I just thought the concept was pretty cool, and I really was so excited that it was going to be more of like kind of like a mystery. Like, I really enjoyed the fact that it was a murder case that they were trying to solve. And I wasn't really, because you know, with her other books it's all about a big battle, and then when that storyline kind of started to come in, I was like, oh no, it's just the same. And I was very like, this, like, at first I was pretty interested. Like, I could not put the book down because I was really enjoying it, and I was like, okay, it's Sarah J Maas. Like, I just have to remember the things I liked about her books at the beginning and try to forget, like, what I didn't like. But I mean, quickly I kind of started getting irritated with the writing. I just feel like because she's so famous now, she gets away with a lot of things, and it's very repetitive. Like, I wish I could really dive into more about this. Like, I should just make a whole video once I finish House of Sky and Breath. Maybe I'll just like rant about them because I'm having a hard time. But I think the thing that really bothered me was the fact that we don't really get to know Danica. Like, we do in like small snippets and when they get things like revealed about her, but she was like so cool to me, and I was so sad that she was gone within like the first 2 chapters because she was already my favorite. And I really wanted to get to know her in a different way, and I just feel like I was sad that that got taken from us so early on. And also Bryce, it just really annoys me that she has like this perfect body, and like obviously, I don't know, I could rant about it, but like she can't be a dancer because of like her body's not like perfect, like and long and lean, which I mean, that's totally real, I understand. But it's just like she's perfect in every other way and everyone sees that, and I just feel like all of SJM's characters are the exact same, which really, really makes me mad. Like Hunt could have been so cool, but he's literally Rhysand and Rowan, like mixed, like literally them combined. I just all of her characters are the same. Fury, Akstar, or whatever her name is, Fury, the character named Fury is literally Amryn from A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, literally they're the same. All of the characters are the same. Like, we have Rune, who is based pretty much from, like, what's his face, Aedion from Throne of Glass. I'm just mixing up all these books right now. But it's just, so I was very annoyed with that, because I feel like all of her characters are just the exact same. The one thing that I really, really liked about this one, though, is that we do not get too much, like, sex scenes, and I was so happy. Like, I was like anticipating it because I was like, okay, I know there's gonna be some in here, and we get a little tiny bit, but like not compared to like her other books. And I was so grateful because I just did not want to read it at that time. Like, I just was not in the mood. I really wanted to just like get into the world and the characters, and I feel like we kind of didn't get like as much world building as I was hoping. And it kind of just takes place in like Crescent City. Like, obviously that's what it's called. But I could honestly go on and on, but I don't want to make that whole thing about this. But overall, I gave this one, I think, 3 out of 5 stars because I was very entertained. I was very, like, into it at the beginning. But as I kept going, it just started feeling like her other books, and that really drew me out, and I got bored, and I was really disappointed by the end. But I am reading House of Sky and Breath right now, and so I will probably dive in and do a whole other video about this. I don't know, because I just have a lot of things to rant about. Okay, moving on. Alright, and the last book that I just finished was Written in the Stars. Who's this by? Oh, Alexandria Belthor. This book I picked up at the airport on my way to New York, and I'm so happy I did. I just was looking for like a sweet, easy sapphic romance, and I saw this mention on Instagram, so I just grabbed it. It was all the way at the top shelf, so someone else grabbed it, but I picked this up. This book follows these 2 girls, Darcy, who just got out of a really bad breakup and just moved because she needed to like leave her past and all of that behind. And then we're following Elle, who just can't seem to go on a date and have it be successful. So Darcy's brother introduces Elle to Darcy, like they go on a date, and it is completely disastrous. There's a terrible, it's awkward. Elle is clumsy and spills wine. It is just not good. So Elle's like, okay, well, this is just another unsuccessful date. And then her mom is like on her about not dating enough and like not finding a stable relationship because she thinks like her job isn't very good, because Elle works for like a social media page about astrology, and she's so happy and she's like doing really well. She has like a book deal coming out, but her family just acts like she's not doing well enough. And so Darcy, on the other hand, obviously was out of a breakup, and her brother is constantly on her about finding someone to go out with, and it's just, they're both irritated. Darcy has had enough of her brother's nagging and decides that she's gonna fake dating Elle. So she kind of has to hurry up and like make something up, and Elle is like kind of annoyed, but she kind of hops on board. But then as they're going on these fake dates, they start to fall for one another, and it's very sweet, very fun, very quirky, and things kind of get a little tense between them as they start to like learn about each other, but they also just like love spending time together. It's just really cute. Obviously there's some like miscommunication, misunderstandings between them because Elle knows what she wants. Darcy's still pretty scared of getting hurt, doesn't want to put her heart out there and get hurt even more. but it's very cute, and I really enjoyed it. It's a simple read. I just gave it like 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but I was very happy that I picked this up simply because like I just needed something different than House of Earth and Blood. And I don't know, it was very sweet. Just like something fun, a very easy, quick read. And yeah, I just thought it was cute. I don't really know what else to say about it, but I really like the cover. And I definitely want to pick up more of her books because she has a couple more out, so I want to check those out. But yeah, alright everybody, that is everything I've read recently. The 3 books in the Poppy War series, the 3 books in the Red Rising Trilogy, and House of Earth and Blood, and now Written in the Stars. I'm currently reading House of Sky and Breath, very much struggling with it, but we gotta keep pushing through. But that is all I have for you today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a nice little thumbs up. If you want to keep following me on this booktube journey, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ErikaAGobble. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!